Welcome to the Global Retreats Playshop. I'm really excited. My name is Alex, and this is the first time I'm meeting you. And so if you're live or you're watching this as a replay, because I'll be posting this in the group later, hi, welcome, and thanks for being a retreat leader. What I'm going to do is give you just a bit of an overview for our time together, and then we're going to dive in. Today's Playshop is a Playshop. It's flexible. It's not a presentation. It's not a workshop with a specific agenda in mind, although I do have a general flow. And that promise and that flow has to do with these four things. Looking to align yourself and your global retreat vision. So this is fundamentally a vision quest of sorts. And so you should walk away today feeling more energized, more clear about what you're doing, however clear you are so far, and also open to some different possibilities, something that might make it more fun, more profitable, more easy. Some information will show up for you, or you'll realize you knew it already, but you just hadn't put it together in the right way that helps you with the alignment, the congruence with whatever it is you're doing regarding your retreats. The second prime focus is about being connected to other global retreat leaders. So what I'm expecting we'll do is, depending on how many people we have, we'll either split into some breakout groups for some smaller group conversation, or if we don't have that many people, we'll just do it with everybody together. And one of the things I found really great about doing that is if we can, as a leader, it's so easy to be inspired by someone, but also have these nuanced and subtle jealousies or copying versus leadership, and what are we doing and why are we doing it? And so if we can come together and share sort of the essence of why we're doing it and where we came from and why we're doing what we're doing, then we can contribute to each other at a deeper level without having a sense of being derailed from our own path. And I like to try to strike that balance with the people that I work with. So looking for how we can connect and receive contribution from other retreat leaders and basically cheer them on while feeling cheered on. The third piece is about tuning up your plans for your marketing, your messaging, and your profitability. So hopefully you'll get at least one important piece of information for yourself that is directly relevant to action. And then finally, letting go of what hasn't been working. So whatever you tried last year, whether it was really successful or it caused sadness, grief, disappointment, depression, giving yourself sort of a fresh start for this year and going forward. So that's my intention. Now that we've got quite a few more people signed in, I've got a question for you. Where are you? And what do you want to get out of this conversation today in this play shop? So what do you put in the chat, which should be on your right on Zoom? Where are you? And what do you want to get out of today? Because I'm going to tailor this a bit. While you're putting that in the chat, where are you and what do you want to get out of today? So what questions do you have, or what brought you here? What inspired you to take the time to be here? While you're doing that, I'll give you a little bit of logistics for today. It's going to be 90 minutes. It is recorded. So if you need to log off at some point, you want to come back and watch it later, it's going to be posted in the group later. Also, later in this experience, for those of you who want to stay in direct email conversation, I'm going to give you a list to sign up for just for global retreats that's separate from my typical marketing list.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, and you can all of you unmute yourselves if you want to or need to.
The other ones have to put their microphone on, is off, because mine was off before. Linda's is off, and Ogden is off, and Alex.
Yes, everybody's is by default on off. Does somebody want to speak who can't?
Aha, okay.
Yeah.
So if I want to speak, I put it on. I'm not experienced with it, this kind of.
Yeah. It's Felicitas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, you unmute yourself if you know you want to speak, and otherwise mute yourself. That way there's no background noises.
Okay, this I understand.
So Ogden, you're from Pennsylvania. Welcome. Thanks for being here. And you just want to hear other people's visions. Ogden, do you consider yourself a retreat leader? So either speak up or put it in the chat. And Alex, you got a retreat in Bali in April. We got 1 sign up so far. So marketing, getting word of mouth out. Okay, cool. Let's see what we can do for you for today for that. Linda Louise, a learning experience. So again, do you consider yourself a retreat leader? So post that in the chat. Respond to that. Like yes or no. Do you own the identity of I am a retreat leader? I've been doing retreats and involved in retreats for years. That's still sometimes a question mark in my head. So Kate, you're in Boston. Me too. Awesome. Working at a retreat center in California. Branching out to your company. Cool. And okay. All right. Good. So let's just look at that for a second. What would it be like to completely own, in a relaxed way, right? No, like, "Rah, yeah, I am," in a way that traumatizes your own nervous system. But what would it be like to just simply own, yes, yeah, I'm a retreat leader. Hey, what do you do? I lead retreats, among other things. Hey, what do you do? I'm leading a retreat in Bali in April. And be so seductive, so inviting. People lean in like, really? Tell me about it. And what if the marketing of it, the word of mouth of it, didn't need to ever be a push or a persuasion or even a sense of influence, the way we typically think of as like convincing somebody, but it could be just easy. Earlier today, I took a Lyft from downtown Boston to where I am now in Harvard Square, and the Lyft driver and I were just talking, and there's something, she's just really curious, and I mentioned like, yeah, I wrote a book. And I didn't say anything else about that, and she started asking questions. And so where could we all be something with what we're doing in a way that invites people to ask questions so that marketing and talking about it is easy, and we don't waste our time and our energy trying to convince someone of something they don't want to be convinced about. Okay, so super glad you're all here. To play, you'll just need a couple pieces of paper, ideally real piece of paper. If you want to, it can be a Word doc or something. I'm going to have a 4-quadrant map that I'm going to invite you to fill in as we go through this, to sort of fill in and connect dots. I love connecting dots, and this is part of my genius, is looking at blind spots, looking at blocks, and actually looking at them so that we get the clarity we want. Because oftentimes it's in our resistance that the answer is. And if you're anything like me, then listening too much to how other people are doing things at a strategic or tactical level gets you lost. It's like, what do I do? And you end up getting into sort of a copy mode. And if we can blend that, like use people's tools and use other people's inspiration, but never get lost from what we're really up to, the core transformation and the many ways that it can show up, I found that's a really great recipe for people who are very creative, heart-centered, authentic, really, really key for retreats since they're so dynamic. Okay. Next question that for everybody. What is it about you that's special? What is it about you that's special? Intuitively, whatever comes up. What about you is special? And I ask this because to walk out of here without any competition or any fear of anything really, when it comes to marketing and selling the retreats or filling it, designing it, just all the, like, what's core at what gets in the way for being successful with retreats? And if we get really to it, it's like, where do we not love ourselves? Where do we not respect ourselves? What is it about yourself that you're hiding? So what's special about you? Okay, there's definitely more of you who are special here. So, and we've all got something, so just own it. Ogden is owning it. Long list. Cool, thank you. Who else? Who else has, what's special about you? Now, if this is a challenging question, if you're going blank, then what would a friend say is special about you? What would a friend say is special about you? Okay, while you're doing that, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about the Global Retreats group, because this is part of what's special about me and why it's there, and a little bit where we're going with it, just for some context. So I wanted to do this webinar, this Playshop, because of the transition to a global retreat group. If you've been part of it for a while, you know it was called Yoga Retreats Wake Up the World. I created that, I don't know how many years ago. And I played with it for a while because back in 2006, I had the vision of traveling around the world leading retreats. That ended up taking me to Hawaii. That's a whole other story that I won't share it all right now. So for years it was yoga retreats, and then I just forgot about it. I didn't look at it. And one day I looked at it and there were 11,000 people on it. And I had no idea how that happened. And it wasn't engaged like a good curated Facebook group, but it was just a lot of people. So I started asking, well, what can I do with this? Where does this want to go? And I found myself just bored. I had been a yoga teacher. That had been my profession for a while. I had left it to do a few other things and create my own body of work that with a lot of integrity is not yoga. And I just found myself like needing to engage with that group and not able to. It was like I couldn't lead and I didn't know where I was going with it. My business is called Global Epic. And one day, something inspired me and I thought, well, what if this was global retreats instead of yoga retreats? And that little shift just got me inspired. I was like, I can do this. That's a good fit. That's congruent. And then I started engaging with the group again more, bringing in a lot more people, and sharing more things. I shared a few other webinars from some other teachers, and it led to changing the group name to Global Retreats as of January 1st. And then that inspired the idea to do the Playshop to support the visions. So where this group is going kind of depends on all of you. You decided to come today. So my intention is that the group as a whole, and specifically people who really want engagement and support and connection, basically can just be successful with retreats. And that can be so dynamic that one person can be working on profitability, another person can be working on marketing. And rather than having like a laid out systemized plan that makes you feel overwhelmed, I wanted to be able to be much more dynamic and open in supporting everyone wherever they're at. So that's what I'm envisioning for global retreats in the future. And what exactly we do, like what play shops I host or what teachers I bring in, just depends on what you'd like, what would be supportive in the moment. Does that make sense? If that sounds good, please put a yes in the comments and add anything you want. So if that inspired you to think, oh, well, I also want X, Y, and Z, put that in the comments. And while you're doing that, I'm going to read out a couple of things that you're special about. So Linda Louise Churchill, you have the ability to share yourself and your honesty. So thanks for that. Kate, creating spaces and allowing others to discover their own journey and path. Great. And see why you're retreat leaders, right? Lisa, what's special about you is you're sorry for joining late. Just kidding. So Lisa, you might have missed the question. Put in the chat, what is special about you? And Grace, easily and joyfully facilitate permanent transformation at core deep levels. Awesome. Annette, helping people release physical and emotional pain and helping them be empowered. Thank you. Okay, so this is something this is bringing up for me that I want to name, because I've seen a lot of retreat leaders who spend a lot of, let me say this without sounding cliche. I've been doing retreats for a number of years, going to them and participating in them, participating and leading them. And in that time, I've struggled with, and let me know if this has been a struggle for you, the niche versus the transformation question. Like, what's the result that you're selling versus I bring joy to the world, right? So like I easily and joyfully facilitate permanent transformation at core deep levels. And my invitation right now is for all of us to own that essence level, Like, what's special about you at an essence level, right? Nobody said, like, I type 60 words a minute, right? A very tactical level thing. I write great sales copy. You all touched into what's essential and special. And if we just marketed that, a lot of people will say, well, that's not going to sell and that's not going to seem valuable and nobody's going to sign up. Or if they do, it's not really worth that much. So is this relevant? Has anybody else struggled with this? Do you know what I'm talking about? Result focus versus like with a passion focus when we're marketing, selling, describing the retreat or our message or what we do. How many of you have ever gone networking and they're like, what do you do? I bring joy to the world. I do healing. And they're like, they don't know what to do with that. And so there is something important about being able to say, like, I help moms parent better without creating narcissistic kids. It's something really relevant about that. And I was working with a client yesterday who's he's owning the essence level, but it's not niched. And it's going to take him a while to get niched to where he can say, I work with men who need this, who have this issue, who want to go on a retreat to solve it. It's going to take a little while for that to happen, but that doesn't mean he has to wait. So if any of you are waiting, obviously not consciously, but if there's some part of you inside that's waiting for more clarity, waiting for having something that somebody will absolutely buy the moment you say it, would you let that go today? So Ogden, you're saying, passion versus the result. And I think you need to incorporate both. And I think that's key. And that's where the alignment is. So let's see where we can go with that. I'm going to share my screen. So get your piece of paper out. I appreciate the applause. I'm going to mute everybody again.
No, that was for my dog.
I know. Actually, I'm going to unmute everybody. If it gets loud or chaotic, I'll mute. But just if you want to say something, make this dynamic. So I'm sharing my screen. Grab your piece of paper and draw this. So you have 4 quadrants. So we're going to use this as a bank, a vault to collect your information. The distinction here is these all go together. So at any point, we could stop and say, hey, where are you at with your retreat? And you could say, well, what I'm doing is I'm marketing to fill up my Bali April retreat. And I have 0 people supporting me, except my friends who think I'm awesome. And my message and what I'm seeing, what I'm saying regarding the retreat, I don't even like the picture. I don't like the picture. And who am I being? I'm being forceful because I really want this to happen. I know this can happen. Now, I just made that up, but we could answer all 4 of those at any moment. One's not reducible to the other. It's just, they're just 4 different perspectives. Does this make sense? Okay, because there's a strange noise, I am going to mute. And if you want to jump in and ask a question, just unmute yourself. So would you take a minute and close to the center, in roughly, the center third of your page, make a couple comments. Just where are you at right now? What are you doing? Are you actively marketing? Are you hoping to market? Just what's true about where you're at right now? Who's supporting you? Just in general, where do you feel support? You might feel support from the earth. You might feel support from the vision and the sense of calling. So there's no wrong answers here. It's just, where are you experiencing these for aspects of experience. Who or what are you being? What's the sense? What's the internal sense of who you are? Light, heavy, contracted, expansive, ready, not ready, fearful. The seeing and the saying has to do with, what's the image you're presenting or what's the message? So it could be your website. What do you have? Do you have a flyer to promote? Are you doing it all through word of mouth? Do you have an email? What is it? What is it that's conveying the message? It's the form of it. One could argue that to be successful with the retreat, you just need to be yourself, believe yourself, right? Support yourself. Be able to say something like, I'm leading a retreat in Bali in April. It's for these kind of people. And here's why it's going to be special. And here's the benefit. Here's a couple of benefits. Here's why I'm excited about it. Boom, done. And then when people lean in, what am I doing? I'm enrolling them. I'm booking a conversation, a consult. They're signing up through PayPal, etc. So we don't have to make things complex. Okay, does everybody have that? Something just to sort of put a stake in the ground of your own sense and assessment of where you're at. And would you take a minute now to put it in the chat? Just a couple things, like on a scale of 0 to 10, given what you just had, where are you at? 10 is, I'm on fire, I need nothing, everything is set, I'm a master. 1 is, who am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? So on a scale of 1 to 10, just roughly where are you at? Thank you. So after you put the number, are there any questions that come up for you? Like, is there an obvious, okay, what would get me to the next number, from 6 to a 7, or from a 7 to an 8 is what? Put that in the chat too. What would get you to the next number? For example, Grace, you're saying, I know what I want to offer, just want to hook up with others ready to experience, others already experienced with successful retreats. So Grace, for you, I want to know why. Imagine you've got 10 people around you and they've all done successful retreats in the very places you want. They could answer any questions you want. What is it you want from them? So truly get specific. Ogden, not having to worry about filling the retreat. So my question to you is, what is it you imagine would give you freedom from worry? So put that in the chat. What would you think would give you the freedom from worry? And I'm asking you just to go from like a 6 to a 7, a 7 to an 8, because if we do these like one-dimensional shifts, these small steps, that's really what's going on. Everything is step by step. But you ever notice if someone says like, what's the one action to do today? It's like, F you, that makes no sense. Like your mind just goes into like all this stuff. So I want to play with your mind here a little bit to focus on the ideas. Lisa, money. So, and Felicitas, money. So, okay, what do you mean by that? So Linda, Felicitas, what do you mean? Do you mean that if you were successful with the retreat and everybody was there, you still wouldn't be profitable? It wouldn't be enough and it would be out of pocket? Like, what do you mean money would get you there? Ogden, deposits from more than half the number. Cool, good, smart. That's a good strategy. Alex, lack of support except my family and friends. That's why I'm in this group. Okay, great. So for everybody, anywhere that you're making real in yourself or from others, anything that would take you off your path, Would you let that go today? I'm going to ask that again. Anything you're doing to make real something from within you or something from outside you that could possibly take you off your path, would you let that go today? That way, you could experience the chair and go like, I'm so supported by this chair right now. And your parents are like, you're doing stupid stuff. That's never going to make any money, like my brother. It's like, thanks. It's sort of like, let it just move through you. Not real, not something you have to react to. Okay, great. And Linda, you mentioned 4, organizing you're doing with website and writing curriculums. Okay, great. Good. So let's do this. We're going to dance around these 4. As I walk you through dancing around these 4, I'm going to tell you why, what this is, just so your mind has a sense of why we're doing this. Your job is just going to be to collect information. What ideas come to you? What sensations come to you? If numbness or blankness comes to you because you're like, I don't know, nothing's coming to me, then just take a couple deep breaths. But what I'm going to walk you through here is this. Here's the issue. All of these things go together. So let's say you're like, okay, I'm gonna just choose the being side. I'm gonna start there. I'm just gonna plant my feet there, and instead of being whatever I've been being that's connected to all these other issues and questions, I'm going to be the global retreat leader I know I'm here to be. Welcome, Kevin. Now, in that declaration, your body has a little catch up to do. So would you be willing to be the global retreat leader you're here to be? And that'll start to shift the being side of the equation. And then the question is, well, what else changes in these other quadrants that matches that? Is it something to complexify? Like, do you need more strategy? Is it something to simplify? Do you need to actually stop doing certain things? So that's what I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to walk you through some questions as we go through these quadrants. And at any point, I might be asking you about supporting, but it inspires you, like, I have to send a message to so-and-so, which technically would be the seen and the sane side of things, because it's about the message and getting the word out. Does that make sense? Some of you closed your video, but hope everything's going right. Okay, so put in the chat if you're ready. You're ready to walk through this. We'll take about 6 to 10 minutes to do this. This process is partly to open your heart, to open doors to your own vision, and to let you own it, and to immediately turn it into information that you can use. Okay, here we go. So being, take a deep breath. And would you be willing to be the global retreat leader that you're here to be? Take a deep breath, let your body catch up to that choice. Now imagine yourself at the retreat on the last day of the retreat. Be you, celebrating the completion of that retreat. And would you be willing to be that version of you stepping forward, going forward from today? Take a deep breath, let your body catch up with that. Now imagine a retreat participant walks up to you on her or his way out, and they give you a hug, and they say something to you. Whatever they say, write in the upper right quadrant of your notes, the seen and the saying. What do they say to you? What would they say to you? What would you say back to them? After you say thank you and you're welcome, what else would you say to them? They're walking away. That chapter is complete. What do you say to them? And now in your imagination, eyes open or closed, imagine all the rest of the retreat participants. See them, feel them, imagine them, or just simply know. Would you be willing to allow them, those future participants, to be part of your support? They're your support financially. They're going to be. They will. They already are in some cases. By this point, they have been. They've been your support financially. You've learned from them. And as I'm walking you through this piece, make any notes in the support in the bottom left of your notes, or anywhere else you want to, but this is a support question. So would you receive their support financially? Would you receive their support physically? Like be in the same room with them and enjoy that? In what other ways could you receive their support from this future sense of participants? Now, who else, literally there at the retreat, who else do you need to thank for their support? People who are either at the retreat literally helping you? If it's, what are the specific people? And people along the way that supported you directly or indirectly. So list names or roles or names, whatever comes to your mind and heart. And at this point, in this imagined future, take a look at your own future. And what would you take away? What would you be taking away from this successful retreat that you would want to either do better the next time, right? Include more of, or just repeat, like, this was so good, I want to do it again. Put this in the doing, in the bottom right. What is it you would take away from the successful retreat that you either want to do better because it was so good, or you just want to do it more of it and do it again? Now, if you imagine that the paper you're looking at, the center of the paper, where the two lines intersect, that's now, right now. The edge of the paper is the future. It's the end of the retreat and beyond. So could you imagine a line, straight line, curvy line, wiggly line, from the center to the four corners that represents the path and the actions and the choices from where you're at now to who you're being, getting that thank you, recognizing the support, and taking the next iteration, next action. And it will take about 2 minutes, whatever you're intuitively aware of, to write stuff down along that line, that imagined line. You may not have room for a literal line, don't worry about that, but just from center out represents time. Anything you're aware of right now, and if you're not aware of it, don't struggle to try to figure anything out. Is there anything you're aware of right now that needs to happen, that if it did happen, would make this so obviously, so easily come true? So finish writing whatever you're writing right now. You've got the map for later to fill in more. Give yourself some distance and look at what you've written as a whole. If you got a couple inches, a foot or so away, just drop your hands, look at what you've written and receive it. Just take it in. Recognize that the path is not direct and linear. But as you choose one thing in one quadrant, it'll affect the others. And that you have way more resources than you probably imagined. But more important than any of that, just allow your body to relax with this information, receive it. And I find that if you can do that, if you can relax with that information, you can take action on it way more easily. You can also discard it and choose other information. You can also add more, because this will make room for you to get more of the information, the strategies, the tactics, or just receive the people and be who you need to be in the enrollment conversations to get the right people to where they want to be to say yes. Okay, so move your body a bit. This ends this process. I'm going to unshare my screen. What do you put in the chat? What's one insight you had? If you absolutely didn't have an insight, what's something interesting? So an insight or something interesting that you just received by going through that. And also, how do you feel? Do you feel any better? Do you feel worse? Maybe I just scared the crap out of you. Maybe if you're happier. I'd love to know. Now, as you go forward after today, if you use this approach with any decision, any major decision, anything that's not just easy, as you work on your retreats, use this map, because you might go, oh, I know, I'm going to add this component to the retreat and I'm going to do this other marketing thing. Cool. So you come back to this map, which you could draw on a napkin in 5 seconds. You put the action in the doing, like, okay, cool. Is there anything that affects my being? It's like, oh my God, I have to be braver. Okay, I'm choosing that. I'm going to be braver. Cool, got it. Oh, in order for me to be braver, I really need to call so-and-so. Can you see how it's just going to keep giving you things to do that's deeply aligned, and the alignment reveals itself with every new choice. Give me a thumbs up if that's helpful and interesting for you. Give me thumbs down if you're hating life right now. Okay, got to give you that option. Thank you. Good. I want this to be useful. Kevin, you wrote, you know more than you think you know, and give yourself credit for knowing. And Felicitas, you live there, and that's why difficult to connect in Germany. Okay, cool. And everyone else, have you fallen asleep? Just want to check in. Are you asleep? This is Global Retreats. Wake up, the world. Gotta stay awake. Okay, what's coming up? We've got 45 minutes. There's one other simple process I'm going to take you through. It looks like this. I'm going to do that in just a minute. And this, of course, oh, you can't see my map. I'll share my screen again in a second. So there's one other process I want to take you through just to get a little more specific about the transformation you deliver. And I found this to be really, really useful, because whatever you do for marketing, you do need to speak in terms of, well, using words and pictures, right? And so, well, what picture do you choose? What word do you say? Do you just say, hey, I'm going on a retreat and it's going to be so amazing. There's going to be so many great colors and trees and food, and it's going to be amazing. You should pay $3,000. Or are you marketing with specifics like, hey, everything I'm about is letting people feel like their spirit is alive on the planet. That's what I do. And so I'd love to invite you to this transformational retreat. It's going to be in Egypt, and we're going to get political with our volunteering. It's going to be so amazing. Your global contribution is going to fly through the charts, which is still a little bit in woo land, but at least it's like deeply authentic and there's a bit of a transformation to it. And so I'd like to give you that opportunity to get a bit more specific with the transformation that you bring. One other reason I found this so important is if we say something like, I'm bringing joy to the world, come to my retreat, it's about yoga. You know, we're gonna do yoga for your heart. Or come to my parents' retreat, it's gonna create so much more love, which is important and good and true, but there's something that's ungrounded about it, because it's not framed as a transformation from something to something else. And this is true as we relate to our own purpose and our passion, our mission as well. If we just say, I'm creating more freedom for people, people roll their eyes. But if you say, I help people who are trapped in jobs create more freedom, now I know what you're talking about. Or even just, I help people who are trapped in emotions create more freedom. So from to, and it just grounds it. And then people get to find themselves in it, and then they lean in or they don't, which is amazing, because then you don't have to waste your time wondering about who do you sell to and how do you market. Just you say what's true, and some people lean in, and then it becomes more of a game of just sharing what's true for you. All the other pieces, of course, need to be in place in terms of pricing and logistics, but those don't work well when something inside you is disconnected from the transformation. Before we end, which will be at the half-hour mark, so we've got 50 minutes from now, we're going to do a breakout session. So actually, we have a small enough group that we'll just stay connected in this group. And I'm going to share how you can schedule a time to talk with me if there's anything specific I can do for you. So I'll share a link to schedule. Okay. Last thing I need to say is I have to warn you. I'm not taking you through a super deep version of this process, but what I've learned again and again for the last few years is all roads lead to home. So this process is a very scratch of the surface of something I call the global contribution map. Unlike like a personality system or a made up archetype system, hopefully that's not insulting to anybody. It's essential to what you do. So this information that you're going to get, even though it's going to be pretty quick, if you keep drilling into it, it's not going to take you someplace else. It's just going to take you to greater and greater clarity of what you really, really, really do. And I found it doesn't change. It doesn't change at an essence level. So I just want to warn you that it can be visceral, and maybe not, because we're not going to go super deep. So here we go. Okay, draw this on a new piece of paper. This is a process I've been using for about 2.5 years. I discovered it in a very deep rock bottom moment in Marin, California, and it came to me and it flipped my world upside down, or inside out, right side up. Okay, so now that you have this, I'm going to ask you a question, and don't write anything down. Just sit with the answer, because I'm going to ask you a couple quick questions, and then I'll let you know when to write the thing down that you have discovered inside yourself. The question is, what are your greatest achievements? What are your greatest achievements? And just let that come to your mind. Let them, there's going to be more than one. A few things will flutter into your mind. Now, the next question is, what's great about that? You take them all together. What's great about that? And what one word would capture the essence of all that you're feeling and thinking right now? Put that word in the right side, on the right line. So in the right line, you have a word that is the essence of, that represents the essence of your greatest achievements and your greatness. It's a word that, as you look at it, may give you a lot of expansion in your body. It might create some contraction. Maybe you don't completely own it, and that's fine. There's more work to do around it. But it points to it. It's like, yeah, that's the door. I love opening that door. Okay, next slide. What's your greatest fear? What's your greatest fear? And staying with that, whatever picture you see or whatever words come to mind, what is so bad about that? If you didn't dismiss it, really, what sucks about that? What's bad about that? And what's the worst part about that? And as you stay with the sensations and the image and anything else you're experiencing now, let your mind finish this sentence. If this were true, that means I am blank. That means I am. If this is true, that means I am. that word or phrase, put it in the left line. So you've got a word or a short phrase on the left line that is a doorway to the fear. As you look at that word, there could be a lot of contraction in your body, maybe some emotions. Maybe part of you's like, kind of dismissing it and disconnecting from it, and that's okay. What I'd like you to consider is that maybe your life has been the hero's journey from that left word to the right word. That your entire life, again and again and again, has been going through the experience on the left and transforming it to the experience on the right. And you've been in situations where you experience the left, and you've been in situations where you experience the right. And life is sort of like a tug of war or a spiral, again and again, different versions of these essential experiences. If that's true at all, then the transformation that your life is here to provide is that transformation. This is the realm of your fundamental expertise. You've developed it in different ways at jobs, with different skill sets, with different healing modalities. But the essence of it, the essence of that transformation is from this left side to the right side. If you go too far to the right side, right, if things get too good, we do this self-sabotage stuff, and all of a sudden we're back on the left. We go too far on the left, we get our shit together, and we get back to the right. So it's really interesting that our mastery falls inside this. It's like this is the bigger game. And this is how I learned it the first time. I realized, oh my God, that's the bigger game I'm already playing. No wonder every time someone tells me, Alex, you're playing too small a game, you need to play a bigger game, there was this weird resistance. It's like, no, something's not right about that. I go, because there's this bigger game I'm already playing at an essence level. And the more I can accept that and also surrender it, then I can do more and more things differently. I can charge more for a retreat. I can charge more for a client. I can deliver more for a client. I can do things for free if I want to. It's like more and more freedom of choice. So let me know how this is landing for you. In the chat, you don't have to share your words just yet, but just, what's going on for you right now? Insight, interest, what? Ogden, yeah, this is fundamentally, you might have wrote this actually before we did this process, but like the fundamental transformation that your clients are going to go through is the fundamental transformation that your life has been going through. And then everything that you do, however you curate that with your skills, your tools, with other people, with the location, all the choices about the retreat itself, as well as the experience preceding the retreat and the follow-up after the retreat, is part of and comes from this transformation. And I find that anytime you feel like there's some resistance, or you're like, what do I do next? From a value perspective, it's this. Why should I go on your retreat? Well, you're going to transform. Well, how am I going to transform? You're going to get this. And it can be really helpful for messaging and marketing and languaging. And we don't have to use it at all because it is essence level. And sometimes we need to be a bit more strategic with our languaging in the words that we use, in the sales copy that we use. So any questions? Any questions at this point? Cool, Linda. Solidifying your thoughts. Need to bubble up with greater confidence. Cool. Hot damn, I like that. Okay. So I'm going to unmute everybody except Ogden because she's on the phone. Ogden, just unmute yourself when you're back. So I want to invite everybody right now to do a short little elevator pitch. And it's here's the basic structure. What's your name? If you have a retreat on the books, what is it? If you don't have a retreat, just like how do we know you as a retreat leader? Like, are you up to something specific? And if you are, say it. And if you're just thinking about a retreat, then just say that. And share this transformation. So the transformation that I'm bringing is the transformation from this to this. So I'll model it. My name is Alex Iglesia. I'm living a retreat lifestyle using Airbnb, house sitting, pet sitting right now while my wife works, and creating retreats for the rest of the year, specifically in Rome. And the transformation that I bring is from buried alive to spirit alive. Okay, who'd like to go?
I'll go. Can you hear me? I don't know.
Yep, go Lisa.
You could hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm
Hi,
on a
Lisa.
phone and a laptop, so I'm not sure. All right, that's my phone. Here, I'll try and move that so you can see me.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Because my audio is not working on my laptop. Sorry. Okay, so I'm Lisa Riente. Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for hosting this today. I'm leading a retreat in Machu Picchu this July, and I chose to go at a time where there's a full lunar eclipse and a full moon. And my goal is leading 11 women, taking 11 women with me. And we're camping along the Incan Trail as we go and practicing yoga and opening the chakras as we travel up to Machu Picchu. So my goal is transform, and this is in my marketing materials, is that in Peru, they see lunar eclipses as a very scary time, a time when things in the world are just out of order. And so my goal is to bring people from their howls of pain to ohms of peace, because they tend to go out and howl at the full moon when there's a lunar eclipse because they're frightened of what's happening. So the transformation I'm hoping to achieve with my group is that we go up there and experience our pain, but transform it into a peaceful place through our process of hiking and communing together and practicing yoga and being open.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Who would like to share next?
I can give it a shot.
Hi, Kevin. Bring it.
Okay, what I've done before is to took 4 people down to part of Mexico, and I'd like to do that again this year. And the change that I'm going for is for them to realize that things aren't as complicated as they really are. So it's an understanding change, a shift to be able to see that they're more capable, which is really interesting because it parallels what I realized about myself, of course. So I guess the transformation that, as you said it, that I bring, that I offer is simplicity, recognizing that I have clients identified to take, and I know they see things complex to make it more simple. I don't know how to put that in a short phrase though.
Got it. Well, and so was that your word, from something to simple?
Yes. From complexity to simple.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Who'd like to share next?
How do we do this?
You just did. Linda, you're it.
Oh, good. I'm pressing buttons here going, what the heck? Okay, basically what I'm doing now is I'll be teaching a course in Kundalini Yoga for the next 6 weeks in Palo Alto, California at One Heart Yoga, which I've been working with for the last 30 years. But what I would like to do is incorporate my shamanic energy work that I've acquired over the last 15 years, along with the Kundalini Yoga. And my main focus at this time, because I'm just starting out, is as far as retreats are concerned. I've always just done workshops and classes. What I would like to do is try and keep it on this continent, to direct it towards people in recovery, not just of alcoholism and drugs, but people in recovery, and focus with the shamanic work and the Kundalini Yoga. Still haven't gotten down the logistics, but that's my concern. And the biggest one is to stay on this continent, because so often we leave. I've spent my whole life leaving this continent when knowing that there's such a force here that's very important for us. I don't know how to put it into words, but it's a heartfelt thing for me to make it affordable to everyone. And not just the financial part, but affordable to their desires and their being, to be able to attend, not, spend thousands of dollars to do something when we have such beautiful, beautiful places here on this planet. So anyway, that's where I'm coming from for that.
Great, Linda. Thank you. And what was your transformation from what to what?
You want to know what I wrote?
Yes, please.
Okay. My transformation was from a wasted life to a successfully accomplished life.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Linda, can I offer some reflection that might be interesting to you and useful to some other people too?
Oh, you know it, honey. Go for it.
So, thank you. So one of the gifts of sharing your vision is there's often some interesting dots to connect that we don't see when we're speaking. So your desire, right? You have this strong desire for it to be on this continent. And you said why? Because you've spent your life leaving the continent and there's important stuff here. I'm not using as good as words you use. Well, if you recognize that could be really appealing, that idea could be very, very appealing to people in recovery who've been spending their life leaving themselves, but there's something important here. So when you have this strong desire, you're like, and it looks like there's a reason for it. I almost guarantee you that there's deeper reasons and there's interesting ways to share that in your marketing. So why should someone go on a retreat with Linda, specifically this retreat? Like, hey, look, people could be going all over the place. Linda is looking for certain people who've been through or going through recovery, who would love to use Kundalini yoga and shamanic practices to stay home in themselves, finally, because they've been spending their life leaving. And there's a very special retreat. So there's a huge theme in that.
You know it, honey. Perfect.
Cool. Good.
Perfect.
Good.
That's a good link. Perfect link. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So good. Since for everyone, as you share with people, notice when you're getting passionate, and then let part of your mind, not necessarily in that moment, but reflect on it and go, how is this thing that I'm saying even more useful than I realize? Mm-hmm. And one of the places I found that to be especially true is when we speak our limiting beliefs. The unique limiting beliefs that come out of our mouths tend to be our message, but sort of wrapped in poop. So it's good to be able to listen to yourself or have someone listen. So thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Felicitas. Ogden, would either of you like to share?
I'm good to share.
Please. Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. First of all, I have to apologize because I had to take a call in the middle of that. And so I missed the last little process. But
Mary?
I run 2 retreats a year. Okay. I only work with women because that's where I'm really comfortable. And I'm successful, I know, because the same women often come back over and over. So I know I'm giving them something. They get a lot of joy out of the process that I do. I do want to get more people. I want to get different people. So I want to include the people that already come, but I need to get further out. And I know what people leave with. They leave lighter. They leave with less fear. They leave feeling less burdened, and they leave with really, I give everybody a suitcase full of tools, whether it's mindfulness, walking meditation, different forms of yoga, learning about Shavasana, learning about Yoga Nidra, learning about doing Reiki themselves without taking a training course. I mean, I really give it to them. I tell them to write it down. I allow them to reach out to me afterwards, you know, if they need re-instruction. I need to work on my own lack of fear. Like, I have a retreat coming up in May. It's already half full. And I have one new person. The other are all returning, you know, but I still worry about that other half. And people say, I'm coming, but they don't give the deposit. They don't go online and tap that money bill.
Got it.
So that leaves me with this little knot that I struggle to deal with.
Thanks for sharing that. Totally get it. What's your transformation from what to what? Did you get to do that part?
I'm not sure if I was on the phone call. Is that where we had the 2 lines and we're writing the...
Yeah, that one. Did you do that?
Okay. I didn't come to a conclusion, but, you know, I wrote what represents the essence of my greatest thing is compassion, wisdom, freedom, knowledge, and prosperity. And then what I was lacking, the lacking part was being judged, fear of hurting others in other ways, and also judging others.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
I'm sorry I didn't put it all together.
No, that's perfect. You could distill it to one word just for functional sense. But for everybody, here's how you can use that, because there's always going to be places we got stopped, and the words, the information that's on the left side of that map, that's where you uniquely get stopped. Right. So if you and I were having a conversation and like, hey, Kevin, how are you doing today? Like, man, it's just a bad day. This and this is not working. Like, things too complex. Yeah, he smiles. So the essence of, I can't hear you right now. The essence of where Kevin would get stuck has something to do generally with this thing that he's calling complexity. The rest of us, we don't need to understand it or map it or teach him or anything. But if we can just kind of name it for him, if he's in that, or if we can name it for ourselves when we're in that, like for me, if I'm having a bad day, buried alive, buried alive, buried alive, and my body will shift. So it creates a different state, but I don't have to lose myself and start using other people's systems. I get to use me and then access to everything that I know. So Ogden, with what you're saying, that knot, if you play with your own tools with those left-handed words, you're going to fast track your movement. You're getting out of any way where you don't know that you're in your own way.
Yeah, and my 2 last comments are a little touch on what Linda said. Even though I do this, I do have a fear of stepping out of my location, not because I don't want to, but because I have to ask people for more money. And I just realized now that nowhere in my writing did I put that I do not like asking people for money. It is like a thing from my whole life. And the other thing is, I'm the biggest believer in Kundalini yoga. I teach it and have been doing it for 30 years. So I just wanted Linda to know that.
Cool. It'd be so fun if you said to someone, you know, you really, it sounds like you really want to do this. And, you know, I hate asking people for money, but it's time. Are you ready? You can pull that off because it'd be very true for you. If I tried to do that, it would be a lie. But you could
Yeah.
pull that off because it'd be true. It'd be inviting. It'd be like, oh. So that's the thing is like instead of having to somehow dishonor what's true for you or how you function and then say, well, I have to do it this way because I have to get the money somehow. But then you're in your own way or it's going to come out weird and the invitation to pay you is weird. But your own natural way to pull in and do the ask and whatever strategy you end up choosing is going to land the best the more you play with. I hate asking for money. What email do I send you the invoice?
I like
so
that.
hopefully that's
I
fun and
like
helpful.
that. Thank you.
Okay, we've got about 15 minutes. So Felicitas, Annette, Kate, and someone with the phone number 403. Do any of you want to share? You don't have to, but would you like to? Because we've got time for 1 to 2 more people, and then I want to bring us all back together for the end.
This is Kate. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then Felicitas, you're next.
I know I don't have a picture up. So my big thing is really working with people who are overwhelmed, stressed out. I've been burnt out of a number of jobs, and I'm in my late 30s. And really bringing them back into nature and using Yoga Tune-Up. I knew your names looked familiar, and I found out that you're a Yoga Tune-Up teacher as well. To really kind of give them space to reconnect with your own inner voice so they can help to transform from this crazy, stressed out person to someone who has a little bit more clarity and can also find and knows who they really are outside of all the obligations and are really willing to take care of themselves and put themselves first.
Great. Thank you. What's the transformation that you wrote down?
Transformation, basically stressed out ball of mess to someone who's not. Yeah, probably needs to be phrased better, but.
Yeah, I would imagine that you have an essence of your achievements that is languaged some other way than someone who's not.
Yeah.
So play with that, because I didn't hear you say ball of mess. You might have said it, but I didn't catch it before as you were telling your story.
Yeah.
And you did a great job of saying, like, this is why, your personal connection to why stress. But ball of stress, a mess, what did you, wait, is it ball? You say ball of stress, or did you say the word mess? Did I miss that?
I think I said mess. I think I said ball of mess.
Ball of mess.
I don't know, ball of mess, ball of stress, whatever. It's kind of a little bit the same.
I invite you to own that and to play with that, because that's unique. It's different. So why do I want to go to, of all the yoga classes and all the yoga tune-up and all the stress reduction and blah, 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 people talking about stress and work. But when you say, are you a ball of mess? So certain people are going to lean in. I like it. So I invite you to play with that.
Can do.
Cool. Thanks, Kate. Felicitas. I'm going to unmute you. There you go. Okay.
Yes. So my English is not so good, and I didn't understand everything you said, so just beside that. Well, my focus personally is on children and on their future, because I find the future of the children very confusing and unsure. So I like to give, my idea is to give children, youngsters, and the parents a way, a hope, an ability to handle perspective. That is my deep inner thing I'm following, and I'm doing it right now with my work, and I'm going to do this. And the yoga is one way of different ways I'm doing. So actually the retreat I have been giving was for adults, for detoxification with a friend of mine, and I did the yoga part. We are going to do that again, but my real intention is to get on the younger ones, to be like a rock in the storm, and to help them be able to go through all this difficult time. Now, ask me some question. I'm not so good in talking.
Well, you said rock in the storm. So, and this will be sort of interesting little exercise for all of us to just think, like, to be playful with the niche or the specific result if we want to go that route, because it can be helpful. So if you had a group of 20 youngsters, how old are they on average?
Oh, they can be small. I give also courses for parents with children, or at school I teach children ground class up to 10 years, which is very nice.
So which is the age that's most important to learn to be a rock in the storm?
No, I don't, I want to be one of the rocks in the storm for them to have an orientation. And that's why I'm teaching. To teach them maybe to become that, to be grounded and to become that later. But I believe that our kids need a direction. It's so chaotic in this world. So I think people like me, that is especially for me very important.
Okay, so the story then is you are the rock in the storm.
I'm the rock. Before I was swimming and trying to find a rock to hold myself. Now I'm the rock. I have changed.
And that's why you're giving that to others.
And that's what I'm offering to those who want it. So I have stopped to try to get people I can teach. That was very difficult for me. Now I have said, okay, this is what I am. I have my website. I have my presence. And if you want me to do something, come and come to me. So I offer it, but I'm not trying to make it anymore. I have stopped that.
Right. So if we were looking at that first map with the 4 quadrants, it would be interesting to put rock in the storm in the upper left. And think about this for all of you right now. Like, what would you, so there's a simple way to just understand her as a transformational business model through retreats or through classes. She is a rock in the storm. The support, we could put parents and the kids who are the clients, right? Because the clients are in certain way the support. It's part of the support, or the community and the culture. And so young, younger than 10, and the parents.
Or up to 20, it doesn't matter, young ones, even the parents included.
Sure. But let me stop you there, because we can all help everybody, kind of.
Yes.
And there's a certain thing. You started by talking about the young ones. There's a need for them to be grounded, to need to have direction. So if you were to design a retreat, or if you were to be more sort of purposeful, let's say, with your messaging and your marketing, one option is, come to my classes. I'm teaching people to have direction in life. It's one option. Another would be, I'm having classes for young children to learn direction in life. I get to model for them to be a rock in the storm. And then in the action that they're taking, action you're taking, has to do with, well, what are they doing with that? So that's sort of the missing piece in your story right now, from the way I'm hearing it, is just to articulate, so what? So what after these kids have direction? So what after they have the rock in the storm? And so what after they have some tools for being grounded? So in 1 or 2 sentences, what's the most important or interesting, how is the world better because they have direction and they had a rock in the storm to learn from?
This is why I include the parents, because my goal is that the parents and the kids do once a week some yoga together. So for them to do something together and to have that feeling and fun, and they have a lot of fun.
Right, okay.
Why I say the parents and the kids, they belong together in a way.
Yes, so the world is better because parents and kids belong together, and after this work, they are together.
Yes.
Now, for some people, that, like, they need more information than that, but for some people, that's enough. The people for that is enough. The people for who that is enough are the people who go, the moment they see, like, the world The world belongs to parents who belong with their kids.
Mhm.
Just to make something up coming from your words. Now, the reason that would be interesting is if you put that out there, the people who respond and ask you questions about that are going to be the ones who are more interested in it. They still have to go through a sales process and whatever, but that's an interesting starting point. Another interesting starting point is, if you of course, your pictures, if you have any pictures in your flyers or whatnot, you want to have a certain sense of stability to your pictures. And then the question would be something like, do your children sometimes feel like chaos? Because the parents are do your children sometimes feel like chaos? Or do your children feel like chaos?
Chaotic.
Chaotic. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So again, that's not going to be relevant for everybody. And it's even kind of boring for you because you're on the other side. But if you put that out there and you watched 100 people go by, some people come and look at it. And if we could talk to them, they'd say, oh my God, my kids feel like chaos sometimes. I would love to feel together with them. Yeah. And then you go, I have a way to do that. And they go, I'm in. I'm simplifying it, oversimplifying it. But that's an interesting way to look at just some of the simple pillars of why people would be interested in what you have to offer. And then from there, you can expand and create whatever else you want to create, books, retreats, or marketing materials.
Thank you, because I'm very shy in showing off, but that is the problem. It's not showing off, but to really say what I know and what it can do, I feel shy. I feel like, but thank you very much. This is why I'm very happy I'm taking part on this.
You're welcome. I think all of us have that quality of we don't want to show off. And that's why for me, because I wrestled with that for a really long time, and I hate marketing when it feels like I'm showing off. And if I show off because it's fun to show off, it usually is a really bad form of my marketing. It doesn't work really well at all. And what works is when it's when there's something true.
Yes.
And that's what I'm interested in eliciting for people. So thank you for sharing about and letting me share with you on that. And whoever's called in from 404, we have 5 minutes left, so we're not going to get to hear you right now. But I'm glad you're here. And actually, I'm going to unmute you. Could you just say hi and your name? You are unmuted, 404. Unless that's someone else. Hello? Anybody? Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up. So the last thing I have for you, one person actually messaged me privately during this today. So I'm going to take the people who registered, the 33 people who registered for this, and create a Global Retreats email list. The reason is, and you can unsubscribe immediately if you want, or never if you want. But the reason I'm going to do that is because the LinkedIn group, as you're probably aware, is basically 12,000 people posting stuff. Now, it's not everybody, but it's for the most part posts, and it's a little harder to engage there than it is in, let's say, a private Facebook group. So I want to just start with an email. That way I can directly communicate with you, because you've raised your hand and said you want a little bit more than just random posts. Kevin, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I'm going to do that, and that's a way to stay in touch. Now, in order to make use of that, what I'd like to ask you right now is what would be useful? Because my plan is to do every 2 weeks, roughly every month to every 2 weeks, more or less, to do a play shop like this with different themes. So would you put in the chat, what would be some interesting themes that would be important to you? General or specific? Marketing, messaging, pricing, sales process, being confident speaking. Just what would be some interesting, and put as many as you want. And do be specific as you can. So like presenting. So presenting during the class, presenting the marketing. I love working with presenters. I started teaching combat to adults when I was 15. So I like interactive, dynamic teaching, presenting. Not so much one-to-many presenting, like you've probably all been the recipient of the audience of or on stage, just speaking. But I really like the training mentality. Cool. Marketing for technologically challenged, marketing, advertising, closing, deposit. Yeah. So many interesting ways to get deposits. Okay, great. Cool. That's really helpful. So I'll look at those, and those will be some of the first themes we play with. And then the last thing is if I've inspired you, or you've got questions, or you have a sense that it could be very valuable to have some private conversation with me. I'm going to put my consult link. You can schedule a time if you like. I'm going to put that in the email as well. I'll send a follow-up email in the next day or so to this with the video. I'll put the video in the group. But my intention this year, I've been slowly owning the global retreat vision since 2006. And it just keeps expanding. So I want to put a lot more energy into it this year. So cool. Well, thank you all very, very, very much. And if you're watching this as a replay, thank you for being a global retreat leader. I like to tell everybody, thanks for being epic. It's part of my message, part of my brand. So thanks for being epic. Thanks for being on the planet. Thanks for being here. Thanks for choosing to have woken up and to share your gifts. And I will see you. Thank you, Lisa. I'll see you in the group and on email, or if you reach out to me, we'll connect and talk. Bye.